We're going to start with the San Francisco 49ers. Danny and Larry, this team started out, with high expectations last year. A lot of injuries, a lot of scheduling issues. I don't know if you all think there's going to be a bounce back or not, but I will say this. Brock Purdy has signed his contract. Danny Brasco, I'm going to start with you. Is Brock Purdy, in his fourth season with the San Francisco 49ers, the right QB to lead this team to a Super Bowl?
Absolutely, Sia. He is the guy. He was right there knocking on the door. We forget that it was a turnover away from Purdy and the Niners potentially really taking over that Super Bowl. So I think he's already proven that he can handle the big stage. This guy went from Mr. Irrelevant to almost a Super Bowl winning quarterback in a span of no time at all. So I think he's already turned the tables on the perception of who he was going to be and his career trajectory. And he's got those intangibles too, Sia, that escapability, that, ability to improvise too, not just, finding tight windows and doing those traditional QB set things that we need them to do to lead them to that big dance, but showing that he can, do it on his own when the play breaks down too. So I think Purdy, with weapons, if the Niners can put them back around him, can absolutely succeed and lead this team to the promised land.
Larry, I don't disagree, especially when you have the endorsement of Kyle Shanahan here in terms of, I think he has confidence in Brock Purdy pre-snap and post-snap. Your thoughts?
Yeah, he better be the guy because they gave him $180 million guaranteed in that new contract extension, and that prevented them from re-signing some of their big names on defense. So the pressure is on Purdy to deliver. But yeah, all the indicators are that he can if he has some healthy weapons around him. He led the league in yards per attempt 2 years ago. He was 17-4 in his first 21 games as a starter until last year when the wheels came off and he didn't have a guy like Christian McCaffrey helping him out. So yes, I think Brock Purdy is fully capable of doing it. And like Danny said, he was that close to winning a ring 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you look at his passing touchdown numbers, and Larry, I'm going to go to you here. It's 24.5, which honestly seems a little bit low, but there are concerns at the wide receiver position. What are your thoughts on taking the over perhaps at minus 102 on 24.5 touchdowns for Brock Purdy?
I would lean over with that number, Sia, but I prefer the yards going over 38.50.5. This is a number that he has cleared in 2 straight seasons. And yes, there are some concerns because Jawan Jennings is out. We don't know when Brandon Ayuk is going to be back, but Ricky Pearsall looks good. George Kittle looks good. And tossing the ball to Christian McCaffrey might be the greatest weapon that any quarterback could have in terms of racking up yards. And I think that's why you see the number so low at 24.5 is because if Christian McCaffrey is healthy, we know who gets the ball on the ground when they do get close to the end zone. So I'd lean over on the pass touchdowns, but I prefer the yards.
Danny, your thoughts here? Do you like the touchdowns or do you also prefer the yards here?
I'm totally in line with Larry. You may be concerned about the yards because, as he mentioned, there are some wide receiver concerns. I see some rumors about a potential swap for McLaurin for Ayuk, so maybe he adds Terry McLaurin. I don't know what you think about that deal, but looks like the wide receiver room will end up panning out. But Larry said it. Christian McCaffrey in the backfield can make a guy miss and go for 75 yards. Look at Brock Purdy's numbers last season. He had 1 game with 40 pass attempts, but he had 9 games with 250-plus yards. He's very efficient. So I like the yards a lot more than the touchdowns. I'm totally in line with Larry there.
Look at Danny Brasco trying to break news here on a potential Terry McLaurin trade. Can I just say something as a Commanders fan sitting here in D.C.? No, I don't have inside information necessarily. Terry is staying in Washington. I'm just going to let just quell the fears of all Washington fans out there. Terry McLaurin will be a Washington Commander. All right, well, let's stick to the NFC West. Danny, I'm going to ask you this. The Rams, listen, I understand why the Rams are getting some attention here. I think some people, if you just kind of woke up and you weren't paying attention in the offseason, you would have thought maybe the Niners would have been a slightly bigger favorite. Rams plus 175, Cardinals and Seahawks trailing here, but the 49ers plus 165 here at BetMGM. Do we like this number? Larry, actually, I'm going to start with you.
I do, because they go from the hardest schedule in football to the easiest schedule. When you get to play not only the AFC South and the NFC South, which your other division mates get to play, but you get the Browns, the Bears, and the Giants. In addition to that, the schedule is a piece of cake. Everything went wrong for them last year. The most injured team in the league. Jake Moody missed 10 field goals, 2 and 6 in one-score games. I mean, they lost 2 games that they had no business losing to the Cardinals and the Rams in the last couple of minutes. So I think this is the year that they get, normal injury luck and some breaks go their way. And just with the concerns about Matthew Stafford, I think the 49ers are a much better choice.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I lean, Danny, to Larry's argument here, especially with respect to the schedule, the lack of a rest advantage they had last year versus this year. What are your thoughts on this plus 165?
I agree. I think the surge that the Rams had towards the end of last season and make the playoffs is overhyping them a bit here. Trust me, there's no bigger Rams fan on this panel than me. I had a 15-unit bet for them to make the playoffs that I was sweating out the entire season. So I became a massive fan. But I think that's diluting the perception of who these 49ers are. They were ravaged by injury, nay, decimated by injury last year. I mean, you look at some of the names that are leaving: Javon Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw. These guys didn't even play last year. Talanoa Hufanga. They missed 10-plus games, all of them. So the Niners finishing 6-11, it's not reflective of who they are. Once they're healthy, I think they can easily be the best team in this division. And Larry said it. Their schedule is a cakewalk, and we'll eye that win total as well next, I think, Sia.
Yeah, what's interesting about the Niners too is a lot of those guys are gone that you mentioned, Danny, that were already kind of injured last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I think the real question for the Niners is how that front seven, they drafted a lot. Like they spent the first, 5 picks of their draft on defensive players. They're going to have a lot of playing time in 2025. So I think those guys have to pan out and this team will be fine. All right, let's talk about their odds to win the NFC Championship. Danny, I start with you. They're plus 850 to win the NFC. Your thoughts?
I think it's worth a shot there. I mean, plus 850 is 10.5% implied odds. You're going to tell me the Niners have a 10% chance to get there? I think that's absolutely fair. This team can, they've got Brock Purdy back. I think if CMC stays healthy, they've got the most dangerous offensive weapon in the league. And Robert Saleh's back there, the defensive coordinator. I think that's huge for the culture there. That's going to be a big, big boost for them. Don't think that just because they lost some of those pieces, they're not going to be this hard-nosed, gritty team. The Niners can certainly make a push here, and the NFC is a conference that I think is up for grabs this year.
Larry, your thoughts?
Yeah, with the schedule being so easy, that gives them a chance to finish with the 1 or the 2 seed and set themselves up for a run to the NFC title game. So I'm with Danny. I think Saleh is huge. There are a ton of questions on defense. We'll see how it comes together. But that offense, assuming CMC and Kittle stay healthy, it's going to be pretty explosive as usual.
I don't hate the number, but I do feel like in the context of how we're talking about the Niners, we keep saying if. There's a lot of ifs going on with the Niners, and a lot of those ifs have to come to fruition for this team to be the Niners that we think of from 2 years ago and whatnot, the typical Kyle Shanahan Niner teams. All right, 10.5 is the win total. Larry, do we like it? It's minus 102 to the over.
Yeah, lean over for all the reasons that we stated, starting with the schedule. I mean, that team last year, we have it in their minds, but that was the toughest schedule in the league. The rest advantages, there were none. It was all rest disadvantages, and now everything has flipped.
Danny.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Let's take a look at the schedule. Weeks 1 through 4, Seahawks, Saints, Cardinals, Jaguars, and then 12 through 18 to finish it out. Panthers, Browns, Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. This is so much easier than last season. Yeah. I absolutely think they can get this done. And 99% of the team showing up to OTAs. They're all loving Brock leading the team. They love the contract. They're all buying in. This isn't a team that's just crying about last year, how it went hard for them. They're back in, ready to go. So I expect a lot from this Niners team.
When people say easy schedule, I think sometimes it goes in one ear, out the other. But there are certain teams where you actually look at the schedule and you're like, oh my gosh, like that's like every bad team in the NFL is on this schedule. All right, we got 1 minute left. Let's go 30 seconds or less on your favorite player prop for the San Francisco 49ers. Danny, I'll start with you.
I talked about Brock Purdy's escapability. Give me Purdy to go 5+ rushing touchdowns this season. We don't know where the wide receiver room is at. There's a lot of questions. Maybe he's got to do it on his own. I like him to make it happen himself.
All right, the Cyclones scampering into the end zone. Larry Hartstein, what's your favorite Niner prop?
Michael Williams, 10-1 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. 6'5", 267 pounds, and already giving Trent Williams all he can handle in training camp, and the opportunity is wide open when you lose Floyd and Hargrave and Collins along that defensive line. And what I really like is even though they brought in Bryce Huff, Michael Williams, the guy could play inside or outside. He could finish with 6 to 8 sacks, do a great job against the run, and that could be enough to win that award.